learning to ride fast is not simply a matter of going to a track and riding flat out, right? That doesn't work that way, because the problem with just going to a track and riding 10 tenths is you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you can't see. Your reality is not necessarily the actuality, what it really is. It's based on, your perception of what you're doing and things like that. And the other thing is, when you're riding flat out, right, you're starting to get close towards survival reactions kicking in, and you're just trying to survive the lap. And, things get pretty untidy when you're doing that. So going fast is not a matter of doing that. It's a matter of learning the right skills. So I asked this question to my friends who are professionals in this field. What do you need to do, or how do you approach learning to ride fast on a track day? And I'm sure you're going to get some good tips here that are worth taking notice of. In your opinion, what's the best way to build a riding skill on a track? Well, the reason I ask that is because some people think, if you just go to the track and ride flat out, you're going to build skill, which isn't necessarily true.
If you go there and do the same thing over and over, you'll develop the skills that you have, whether they're good, bad, or somewhere in between. So right. I guess one of the most important things for me when you're looking at riding skill is that a lot of people run out of ideas with skill. Like, we're all trying to go better and go faster, and, it's the same in anything you do in life. But if you just do the same thing over and over again, you get the same result. You might be able to push that skill to a slightly higher level, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the same result. So you really need to trust your intuition and feel. And if it's really difficult, if you watch a dude ride around the outside of you and he just looks like he's, going for a Sunday ride, and you've got the thing moving and you're really struggling, pushing harder isn't going to solve that. You're not going to suddenly develop new skills by just pushing the ones you have harder. So if it's, if it feels difficult, if something feels wrong, then generally that's an area where you go, okay, I need to work on something here. So you really need, like, I see a lot of riders go and they don't listen to that. They think the solution is to push harder. But if you really want to focus on working on your riding and building new skills, you've got to come up with new ideas. So have a look, what is that rider doing? Maybe their line is different, maybe they're steering the bike a little bit different, maybe they're, braking different to what you are. So you've got to ride with enough attention to see what are you doing? Maybe what are they doing? Or the easiest one is get a coach that can help you through that whole process. They'll streamline it and shorten it all. But mainly to work on a skill, you first need to focus on what are you doing, so that you can then go, okay, what can I do to affect that to get a better result? Yeah,
it's interesting because I know personally that what feels like a 1 foot move in your body is, a 10 centimeter move. It can, a little movement can feel like the world has changed. And I think that's something that people don't appreciate necessarily when they're changing things. So having someone see it and observe it, is really the feedback they need.
For sure. And that's why coaching works at all levels. Like whether you're, looking for tenths or you're looking for seconds, it works in the same way, because our perception of what's going on and what we're doing is sometimes a little bit different to what's actually happening.
I think I touched on it earlier. So I think for me, lots of laps is, helps. But practicing the wrong thing is not good either. So as much as tuition as possible. Right. And I would say from someone who's qualified, not from the guy sitting next to you, not from the guy who followed you and said he was faster than you in this certain corner or whatever. Having access to good training is key to any success in any business. So and for me, what can go pear-shaped and wrong in something when riding on the track, can be catastrophic. So, would you take advice in your daily life from something that could go catastrophic from someone who you don't know, or someone who has no training? Probably not. Yeah. So I would, suggest, like I know our local club, they all go through their, I think, Cert 4 in training. So they, and then they have their policies and procedures of how they offer training. It can be one-on-one, it can be group, all that sort of stuff. And then obviously Superbike School and Stay Upright and all those sorts of organisations. But I would say, take as much training as you can. I know, down at the Bend, champions have Davo Johnson, Starring goes there. I know Mark Atchison's at Lakeside and QR, and so there's always an A-grade rider somewhere offering training. Levi Day down in South Australia. So there is people out there that are offering training, and they have been trained as trainers. I guess is my message.
I would encourage people that haven't had an education. So obviously, I'd put CSS above most other educators. I'm biased, but I think the program is so well thought out and developed over 40 years of refinement that go get some education and then take that to the tracks. Just go in and just build it slowly, and I still do the same thing now. I don't actually go fast until after lunch.
Yeah.
So even tracks that I've ridden for years, I still go and I take that morning to actually work on my riding, refine the things, and then just slowly build. So just go there. It's a process.
Yeah. Riding flat out's not the way to change it, is it?
No. The thing is, when you're riding flat out, all of your attention is on staying alive, pretty much, because you have no free attention left to actually work on anything.
Yeah.
Because you're right at the limit, and you will never understand what's going on or be able to change anything if you have no free attention left to analyze what you're actually doing.
Right.
So, if what we say is, you ride around about 70 to 75% of your ability if you want to actually change or improve.
Yeah.
Fast enough that you still make an error.
Yeah.
But you've got enough free attention to realize what you're doing and then come up with a plan to make a correction.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, I think the best way to approach getting better skills at a racetrack is to go to a superbike school, to be honest.
Right. So get some instruction.
Get some sort of training. Yes, exactly. And people often think that they're going to improve their skills on a ride day. You can, to a degree, but you've still got your own narrative going on. So you're only getting what you're putting out. Now, someone who has, like I used the example of Mike Jones before, is the idea is to get him to a point where we're no longer needed.
Right.
So you're able to self-observe and to self-assess and to then make improvements and then observe what the improvements did for you or didn't do for you. So you want to have that sort of mindset in approaching it. So I don't know if that really answers the question, but that's the way I'd really hit it.
Yeah, it does, because it's if you go to a track day thinking you're going to be a better rider, but you don't know what you don't know, you're going to go out there, you're going to self-correct what you think is the way to correct, and based on observations that may not be the right observations.
But that again gets to where your level of understanding really becomes apparent, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
And you may have had this experience as well when you're sitting in a room watching a MotoGP race with people.
Yeah.
You hear the various comments, and I've sat in rooms. Been on the edge of the tracks. I've been standing there with Keith Code while he's training someone like Doug Chandler or John Kaczynski. Yeah. And then I've been in the pits hearing him talk to them,
Yeah.
And I can remember watching I think it was Brands Hatch. It was Brands Hatch. And we were standing at the back of the pit area, which is basically you've got turn 1 down the hill, you go up to a turn called Druids, you come down, there's like a 90-degree left, and that's the back of the pit. There's a little straight, and they do this big, long left-hand curve to head up into the back area. And we were watching people come through there on a World Superbike weekend. And Keith said to me, Fogarty hooks his body in just after he turns in on that turn. Interesting. And I went, does he? And I'm like, looking to try and see it.
Yeah.
And he moved like that much.
Yeah.
But that's what he was attempting to do. So you can see certain things depending on your ability to observe and understand riding. So again, it kind of cycles back to what we've been talking about already.
Yeah.
So some observations are useful, some are not so useful.
Right.
So it once again depends upon the rider. But yes, you can observe, but the main thing I would say, if you don't have a particular skill set, like I was talking, I measure myself against others. Don't do that if you're not a particularly skilled or experienced racetrack rider.
Right. Yeah.
That is the way to end up getting a ride in the van with the pretty lights.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go. You know, you got it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. The people that you just listen to, they're professionals in their field, so you've got to take notice of what they're saying, and they ride like demons, all of them. So, you know, I hope you got something out of that. I hope you take notice. I hope to see you on a track day one day and also in another video. Until then, see ya.